Hi, everyone. It's Live with Jim and Anna. This is Jim.
Hi,
And
and this is
where are
Anna.
you, Anna?
Hi, Jim. How's it going?
Good. Where are you?
I am in my home office.
Well, I'm in my home office, but
It's
my home
check this
office
out.
looks a lot messier than your home office does.
I found a clear wall. That's what it
So
is.
it's 21 degrees here. What's the temperature there?
62.
Okay. So let's get right to the questions. That's why people have tuned in, not to hear about the weather.
Yes. I also want to remind everyone we have, while we're live, you guys can submit your questions. So on the left-hand side of your screen, if you're watching this on your YouTube channel, there's a link. You click on it, and you can submit a question. So we can only do this live. Okay, but we've
Okay.
got some entertaining questions for you as well.
Well, thank
Let's get to it. So Jim, I have a question for you.
Uh-oh.
This is a hot question, hot. So what do you think about the market?
Uh,
I thought I had this question for you last time, but I'll ask it again.
Really? Well, I think the market is pretty volatile based on a number of factors, and a lot of people are heading for the exits because that's the usual emotional reaction of people. And the smart money is waiting for everybody to leave, and then they'll start buying and buy it up real cheap. So stocks and bonds are on sale right now. And I don't think you can time the market. Most of our clients have a number of years of cash on hand, so they don't have to sell in a down market. So I respond to people by saying the market goes up and down. It historically has gone up in the long term, but day to day it goes up and down, and you are on a roller coaster ride. And the only people that are hurt on a roller coaster are the people that jump off. So hang on. And in retrospect, it'll be just like it was in 2008, following that large loss, and the 2001 2002 dot-com bubble bursting, and then 9/11. So things happen. It's usually 2.5 years up, one down. So enjoy the ride and make sure you have enough other resources that you don't have to sell in a down market. That's my answer.
Yeah, yeah, and look for the opportunities to buy. Jim, what is our rule of thumb that we've implemented for years?
If the market's down 3% in a day, I'm looking for all the cash I can find to buy because I know averaging in the long run, it'll be good. But I don't have a lot of cash, but I probably have a couple of months worth of savings that I haven't put in the market yet. And I'm just waiting for, a real bad day to put it in.
Yeah,
Otherwise, I'll probably just put it in next month because I don't really need that much cash just sitting there.
I like that. Okay, so we're gonna look for those opportunities and stash some cash away.
Thank you.
Stocks and bonds are on sale. Well, great. Well, thank you, Jim, for clarifying that. I know it is always the same answer, but you've got to hear it again and again and again because I think people are hoping to hear something different, but it's really not.
No,
So,
I remember last time in February of 2009, Jim Cramer on Mad Money is allegedly quoted as saying, go to cash. What he said in
mm,
response to a question was, if you're going to buy something in the next 5 years, you should have that money in cash. And, we usually tell people maybe have 3 years worth of cash that they're going to use. But
yeah.
the media misquoted him. Everybody who was going to get out got out. There were no more sellers. And the buyers looked around and said, nobody else is selling. And they started buying, and the market came back very quickly, quicker than normal cycles. So sometimes telling everybody to run for the exits is a good buying opportunity. And last time it was Jim Cramer. This time we'll see what event or person makes that happen. It's called capitulation. That's the technical term.
Okay. Enough with technical terms.
So I have a question for you.
All right.
One of our clients asked a question about, I recently opened an online savings account, and I also have a savings account at my bricks and mortar bank. Do I really need both?
Yeah, well, one thing for sure, we do like online savings accounts here at Main Street. So that's one of the things we recommend to everyone. And I think it has to do, first of all, with the interest rate that you can get, and it's typically higher than the brick and mortar banks. And it's also convenience. Now, I think personally that you need to have 3 accounts, and in the combination of online and brick and mortar banks. So I propose to have your online account be earmarked as your emergency fund. Now, why is that? Typically, an online account has a connection to your checking account at brick and mortar bank. And so it takes a few days, 24 to 48 hours, to have funds from one account be deposited into the next account. So that precludes you from having an emergency, and if you were shopping at the mall or something is on sale, and having the temptation to get to that account and spend the money. So I like the fact that it's removed, but yet it's easily available and accessible to you. Now, I propose for your brick and mortar bank to have, for example, 2 accounts, and I'm going to sort of reference this, the rest of this answer to what I call a money flow system. So 2 checking accounts. You have one account earmarked for fixed expenses, and a second checking account earmarked for variable expenses. And so you'll take your paycheck, however often you get paid. You have to figure out if it's biweekly, if it's monthly, if it's every 2 weeks, if it's every 3 months. So segregate your check into the 2 accounts based on what it is that you need. So whatever amount it is that you need to cover your fixed expenses in 1 month, and variable expenses. So the fixed expenses should be set to be paid automatically, and technically in this day and age, you shouldn't be writing many checks. So most of them could be auto bill and so forth. Your variable account, which should have a debit card. A lot of times, I know Jim doesn't really use a debit card that much. He uses a credit card. But sometimes if you need to get cash out of ATM, it's nice to have a debit card. So have your variable account be attached to a debit card. And then, so what are the examples of variable expenses and fixed? Well, fixed we know. For example, paying your mortgage payment, a car payment, insurance payment. I also consider savings, part of your monthly savings, to be a fixed type of bill that you have to pay. Just like you have to pay a mortgage payment, you have to save for yourself. And as well as debt payments. Now, in the variable account, that is totally up to you, because that's discretionary. But I think that going out to dinner every night is a discretionary item. Buying groceries at Whole Foods versus Trader Joe's here in California, or Safeway or Giant, also is a discretionary that everybody can sort of figure out for themselves. So having this kind of setup allows you to have your emergency fund aside. Now, online account, again, because we like the interest rate is higher and it's removed. And then the 2 checking accounts, sort of the money flow system, where you have all your bills paid on time, you're never late, everything is on an automatic pilot. And then you also can make sure that your savings are regularly set. And it removes a lot of headache. So I don't have a worry about missing any payments, or even have to check to make sure that things are taken care of.
Nice answer. I was just thinking about, I have to add another checking account to go with the system, because I have a checking account for each property, but I don't, for my primary residence, have the second account for the variable expenses. I sort of pay them out of one.
You could, but a lot of people also sort of say, well, I have a credit card for my variable expenses, and that's fine. I don't mind a credit card. And if you're like Jim and I, who like to collect miles because we go on Italy trips, we go to Hawaii on those miles, that's fine. But I found that a lot of times using a credit card may get you in trouble. So again, it's a discretionary kind of decision. As long as you have that separation and you know you're not going to overspend, then sure, why not use a credit card and get the points?
Well, we've run across people who use a credit card thinking it's somebody else's money, and it is for about 25 days, and then it's.
Well, it is, but then right at that day 25, you're gonna have to pay it back or pay interest, and then so.
Okay.
All right. Well, Jim, here's a question for you.
Okay.
Should I refinance my rental home if I intend to sell it in a year or so?
This was an interesting question we got from a client just the other day. And I came up with a rule of thumb because otherwise you have to do some major calculations. But my
Mhm.
point was this: if you can save $150 a month on your principal and interest payment for a year, that's $1,800. And if your lender charges you nothing or next to nothing, then it's probably worthwhile. I wouldn't look at it even in a detailed manner unless you're going to save at least $1,800 for that year, because they're probably going to charge you at least an appraisal fee. And I warned our client to look out for the mortgage balance going up. Some people will say, oh, there's no points or fees or anything else. It's totally free. And then at the last minute, they noticed that the balance went up $2,500 as they snuck in all those things. And the rules have changed in the last year on disclosure documents. They send you one at the beginning, and then they send you one right before, and then they send you the last one after the refinancing takes place. So you always have 3 days to decline a loan, even at the last minute. So beware of the sneaky fees. That's my last line.
Okay.
So I have a question for you.
Well, I hope you do.
Okay. Should I pay off my student loans or loan in a large chunk whenever I have extra money? Or should I just pay those modest payments and maybe invest the money someplace else?
Okay. This particular question, I know the client, so they have, I think, one student loan left and a chunk of money in one of those savings accounts that we talked about earlier, an online savings account. So to give you an example, if that's the case, then the online savings account, and you can check this on bankrate.com, these days pay just about 1%. Some may be a little bit over. Okay, so that's what you would earn if you had that chunk of money sitting in that savings account. Now, the student loans or student loan that this client has is about 5%. So that's the rate on the student loan. So when you look at this and you say, okay, well, I have a debt that I'm paying 5% per year, and then I have a savings account that's earning me 1% per year. So there's automatically an imbalance in this equation. So if you have a chunk of money and it's something that you can afford, right? So that's something that's outside of your emergency fund or outside of your 3 years worth of cash, then go ahead and pay it off, because the opportunity cost will be much greater for you, because you're going to get rid of that debt that's costing you 5%. Now, a lot of times, I don't know how often you see this, Jim, but I don't, especially with student loans, the balances are huge. And rates, for example, if the rates are also high, then what we like to do is propose a payment schedule. We call it a snowball. So what suggests we have to do calculations, but maybe pay a little bit of extra every month towards the principal, right? Because that helps to reduce the amount that you pay in interest on. And so over time, even the loans are expensive, right? 3, 4, 5%, whatever the rate is. If you apply an extra principal, it will shrink the balance down. Therefore, in the long run, you'll pay much less interest.
Is there a tax deduction on that interest, Anna?
There is a tax deduction on the interest that you pay, but it also depends on what your adjusted gross income is.
Aha.
A lot of times, folks who have huge loans, right, loans that have higher balances, tend to earn income that's going to put them outside of that option to deduct the interest. Now, one other thought I had is if the loans are high, or large balances and the rates are pretty high, this is becoming popular these days, is refinancing. And there's 2 or 3 companies out there that are providing this kind of service. Now, again, it comes down to looking at what rate they're going to offer you, what the term is, And so can you, again, going back to my earlier point, can you continue paying a little bit extra so that the principal of the balance can go down? Consolidation is another option, but sometimes, again, you could, if you consolidate the lower rate with the higher rate and then you extend the term, it may not be the best alternative. Again, we'll have to do calculations, but in short, that's another option if you're going to have to pay it off as you go, not in one chunk.
Right.
You want more questions, Jim? Let's see if do we get any questions? We didn't get any questions live. Okay. Well, we have maybe 1 more minute.
Okay.
Let me see if you want to take this one. We kind of talked about it. So where do I park my safe money, my emergency reserves money these days? Where do I go?
Well, and you mentioned some options earlier in another question. We like the online banks. I like Ally Bank, which is owned primarily by the taxpayers because it used to be GMAC Bank when we bailed out GM. You have Synchrony Bank, you have Capital One 360. And so there are a lot of online banks. We usually go to bankrate.com to find out what they're offering. They're pretty much competitive with each other, about 1%. And because it links electronically with your checking account, it's easy to move it back and forth. So you could also do a laddered CDs, meaning you buy a 1-year CD, a 2-year CD, a 3-year CD, 4-year CD, 5-year CD. And if you have to break a CD, Anna, do you remember what happens to the principal when you break a CD before the time is up?
To the principal?
Uh-huh.
I'm not sure, Jim, what happens to the principal.
Nothing.
You get your principal back, typically.
That's the answer.
Oh, okay.
You get the principal back.
You don't get all your interest back.
And you have to take a haircut on the interest.
Yes.
Because you didn't keep it for the full time. So there's an interest deduction penalty, but you always get your principal back. So laddering CDs, you can increase the yield, and in an emergency, you just take a haircut on your interest rate for that particular CD. That's what you do with safe money.
Great. We like that. I actually have Ally Bank, and I like it's very easy to use. It has a real nice app. So when I need the money, I just go on my iPhone, I click the send button and sends money. It does take, however, it does take 24 to 48 hours for money to show up in your checking account. So that's one thing. But it removes that, okay, well, I need it right now. And so yeah, you have time between between when the money gets to your checking account, and so you can access it. Actually, Ally has a savings account, online savings account. It also has a money market account, which has a debit card and a set of checks. So not that we like that.
I don't know. That's sounds too easy to me. I'd rather you wait overnight 24, 48 hours.
That's why I have it like that. So, but it's an option. Sometimes people do need to have that, that option to write a check or use a debit card. So, well, we're right out of time, Jim, for this broadcast. Have a great weekend. You guys all stay warm. Okay, and I'll be there on the East Coast next week to get some of your cold temperature, but we'll see you all next month. Bye, Jim.
Bye, Anna. Have a great day.